guys, welcome back to the Distinction Factory where we make our mark. And today we are going to be practicing Theorem of Pythagoras. Pythagoras applies to grade 8s and 9s mainly, and we do use simplified formulas of Pythagoras from grade 10s through till 12. Down here we have our notes on Pythagoras and two questions that we are going to try out together. We learn a new word which is called hypotenuse, and hypotenuse refers to the longest side of a right-angled triangle. It is important that you know that you can only do Pythagoras in right-angled triangles. If you have a triangle that looks something like this, for example, where there's no 90 degrees specified in it, then you will not be able to do Pythagoras in it. So how do you identify which is your hypotenuse? So the longest side of the triangle. You will look directly opposite the 90-degree angle in your triangle. So in the first question, here's our 90 degree, and directly opposite to that is the side AC. So that means that AC is going to be our hypotenuse to solve for. We have two formulas. The second formula is derived from the first formula, which is our main one. It says that if you need to get your hypotenuse squared, you just add up the squares of the other two sides that are given to you. They came up with the second formula by just taking this side squared across the equals to sign, and it will then become subtraction on the other side, which is what we have here. All right, the first question says calculate the length of AC. And I'll start off by demarcating which is my hypotenuse. Again, this is pointing towards it. So AC is our hypotenuse. That means that we are going to be using our first formula for it because hypotenuse is the subject of that formula. So I'll start off by substituting the name of the side AC. And that is equal to the other side squared, which would be AB, plus BC. Those are the shorter two sides of your triangle. From here, we can substitute our values. The length of AB is 4 centimeters, and the length of BC is 3. I can then simplify these values rather. 4 square is 16 and 3 square gives us 9. When I add them up, I end up with 25 as my answer. However, this is AC squared. We just want the length of AC alone. So I need to get rid of that square, and in order to get rid of it, I will have to root both sides. So the square root and the square will cancel off, and I am just left with AC. And then the square root of 25 is 5 centimeters, which will be our length. Then we can go on to our second question, calculate the length of BC. So BC in this case, let us figure out if it is the hypotenuse of our triangle or not. Pointing our 90 degree towards AC. So that means that AC is our hypotenuse. And since we're not solving for that value, that means that we are solving for another random side of our triangle. And that means that we are going to be using our second formula. So we have our side squared, BC, is equal to our hypotenuse, which is AC, squared, subtract the length of the other side, which is AB squared. I will then substitute my values. AC has 10 units and AB has 8 units. Simplifying this, 10 squared is 100 and 8 squared is 64. When I subtract those two values, I end up with 36. However, this solves for BC squared. And again, we just want BC. So I will have to square root both sides of the equation. The square and the square root cancel off with each other, and we are left with BC. The square root of 36 is 6 centimeters. And that would be our answer. Thank you. Come again.